Hungarian Vizsla or German Pointer? Which one should I choose? What are the similarities and differences between the two iconic breeds? Which breed of puppies are more energetic and people-oriented? We talked to two European breeders, Csabahari Hungarian Vizsla and Nicolette Shekeris German Pointer breeder. In the hunting world and among amateur dog owners, the Hungarian Vizsla and German Pointer are the two most popular pointer breeds. How are these two iconic dog breeds differ from each other? What are the similarities and differences?
From a hunter's point of view, ideally, there should not be a significant difference between the two breeds. We expect the same efficiency from both. However, the situation is far from simple. In my experience and opinion, the Hungarian Vizsla may be easier to fit into the life of an ordinary family, and it often seems that its nature is a bit more complex than that of the German Pointer. They are more characterized by the attitude of always being happy, always feeling good and always motivated than the German Pointers, who are more difficult to handle. In addition, I find the German Pointer calmer in everyday life. They do not have the constant spinning characteristic of Hungarian Vizslas.
This comparison is a difficult task, and I agree with Nicolette for the most part, but perhaps it is better to start with how the two breeds are similar. Both dogs belong to the so-called all-round hunting dogs, so there is no big difference between them in this respect, as functionally we expect the same from both. The point about these types of dogs is that they are not dogs invented for a specific task, but they have been selected to be able to perform at a high level in all segments of hunting, except for underground, war and work. We expect about the same from these continental Vizsla breeds, but not necessarily in the same way. In addition, of course, all breeds adapt to the perception, nation, and environment where they are bred, and here the differences appear. By the way, it is always worth observing and comparing dogs in their development, and the difference between these two pointer breeds is perhaps the most noticeable in puppyhood, when Hungarian Vizslas are little terrorists, and compared to them, German Pointers can be considered particularly calm. We are both in the fortunate position of seeing each other's dogs all the time, even in puppyhood, and the contrast in this respect is outstandingly strong at this age. As the dogs grow, this is more and more obscured, obviously due to the similarity of expectations, upbringing, and training.
I can confirm all this. Last time we both had a litter at the same time and the puppies were about the same age. I visited Siba's dogs, and when I went to the little Hungarian Vizslas, I was shocked. They were spinning continuously. You can't scratch them off me. They are terribly attached to humans. They regularly climb into the human aura. Meanwhile, a German Pointer litter of the same age is quietly napping while I clean, or even if they are up, they prefer to play and communicate with each other. Or maybe they are thinking about how to screw up with the owner, tear something apart, etc. While we were in the Hungarian Vizsla litter, they were fully focused on us. This was a complete surprise for me in such a concentrated way, and I admit it was also somewhat shocking. The energy level was unusual compared to the German Pointers.
There are a few people in my circle of acquaintances who keep these two breeds. I usually hear funny stories from Hungarian Vizslas and more powerful stories from German Pointers, for example, about the frequent extermination of the neighborhood cats. Is there a significant difference between the adult behavior of the two breeds in, say, a residential area?
About the German Pointer, you should definitely know that it is a very instinctive breed. That is why I do not recommend them for hobby purposes or residential parks. They need a hard hand, as these extremely strong instincts have to be tamed, which is partly due to the fact that this breed is a very consciously selected breed, where no individuals are bred that have no place there. Whichever of them had weaker instincts or abilities, that dog will simply not be included in the breeding specimens. The system and the diverse ability tests exclude him. Among pet owners who do not use dogs as working dogs, who often do not have much experience, this can cause problems, as they are usually not prepared for a dog with such a strong working instinct and drive. We are in the fortunate position that this breed has not yet been diluted.
Both breeds are very popular in the world. There is no significant difference in their number and distribution. What is very significant, however, is that the German Pointer was able to remain an excellent hunting dog as a world breed. It is much closer to its original function even today, which is probably primarily due to the fact that there is a very strong world federation behind the breed, and the mother country of the breed is quite good at dominating and controlling trends. Unfortunately, this cannot really be said about the Hungarian Vizsla. The Hungarian Vizsla is among the very popular dogs, which is very good on the one hand, and perhaps the only Hungarian breed that is so popular. The problem is that they could not be preserved primarily as hunting dogs at any level, which causes a lot of problems. In the breeding of the German Pointer, the selection in the direction of working abilities is much more serious. This is why it can be felt that Hungarian Vizslas are easier to handle among hobby dog owners. Another phenomenon that comes from fashion is the difference in organizational strength between the two types. Here, from the point of view of health, for example, based on hip and other health screenings, the German Pointer has a huge advantage over the Hungarian Vizsla. Of course, this is just my own opinion. In the case of the Hungarian Vizsla, it is sometimes forgotten that this breed is an all-round hunting dog, and the positive qualities that are characteristic of them and why we love them have evolved because the breed was developed for this function. If breeding is separated from this selection, it obviously loses these good qualities as well. At first, this seems to be an advantage for hobby owners, because there is less need to release the dog's energies and channel it with training, but after a while this can go hand in hand with a deterioration of the nervous system and a degeneration, which will cause other problems in everyday life.
Most recently, the significant behavioral differences between the two breeds were mentioned in puppyhood. What is typical of them in adulthood? Is there still this marked difference?
There are a few things that distinguish the two breeds in adult dogs. One of them is their relationship with humans. The tendency to cooperate with the owner is usually stronger in Hungarian Vizslas. In the field of combination and cognitive skills, I also feel an advantage over the Hungarian Vizslas. This is an old experience of mine, as I have been actively training both breeds for a long time.
Can you say that the German Pointer is less of a family dog, but rather a tough working dog? And the Hungarian Vizsla is also an excellent hunting dog, but is it more suitable for family life? Or is this a misinterpretation of what has been said?
My problem with such generalizations is that these are slogans that are described in all breed standards, and they are varied without logic in the standard of dogs. This sounds good and is easy to understand for everyone, but at the same time, things cannot be simplified so much. There are breed-specific traits, but dogs should be examined much more as individuals.
I would rather say that it is a mistake that is often, justifiably, blamed on the Hungarian Vizsla, that the stock is much more heterogeneous than that of the German Pointer. This is not necessarily fortunate from a work point of view, but it can be considered as a good idea for hobby dog owners, as they can choose from a variety of dogs within the same breed. But if we look at the question from afar, then yes, perhaps these characteristics can be applied to the two dogs at the breed level. By the way, I would like to draw attention to the fact that if the breed significantly loses its original function, it will only cause problems, which we can already see. If you can, try to go in the direction of looking for breeders who prefer the function, even when buying a puppy. In the long run, this is the only way to preserve the virtues and excellent qualities of this excellent breed, the Hungarian Vizsla. This, as I mentioned, is a big difference between the two breeds. In the case of the German Pointer, there is no need for such lobbying.